It is crazy to see that the sentiment against Genshin Impact currently just seems to keep growing and growing and keeps getting worse and worse. It is a sad reality to see, but yet here we are nonetheless. The reason why I'm obviously gonna keep covering Genshin Impact's big news, because one, it's kind of very relevant in the space because they're kind of the top dog in the space, but also you never forget your first. Yeah, you never forget your first. Genshin Impact was what introduced me to the space, was what introduced me to this particular type of gacha games where you basically play to collect as much 2D anime baddies and explore the open world with characters you have to obtain through a gacha system more often than not, of course. So we have probably one of the faces of Genshin Impact currently, Doro44, going over why Genshin Impact does not listen to you. And obviously the reason why, I'm gonna say a brave take here, the reason why Genshin Impact doesn't listen to you is because, well, obviously, well, they don't have to. they just don't have to. They can just keep following and pursuing their own agendas, their own business model, and they're profiteering off that. And as long as the numbers are going up, to hell with everything. That's one thing we learned with corporations, really. So it's sad to say out loud. We all know that when it comes to Corpa, as long as the numbers are going up, even though there's certain moralities, and where's the love? Where's the appreciation? Because we're human beings. Like, we're not these heartless, just number-driven creatures, right? Like, we're people, right? Like, let's show some actual love, appreciation. Well, I guess that's too tough because it goes against what Corpa is really trying to be, which is a firm, iron hand, just pure business, no emotion whatsoever, because emotion equals bad revenue. In my opinion, I think there is a balance between both, and I feel like companies should be pushed into trying to be both. But then again, once again, your bottom line is just the numbers keep going up. Unfortunately, to maximize that, you're gonna have to remove the emotion out of it. It's a sad, let's just say, dynamic Corpa has going on right now. So we have Doro44 going over why Genshin Impact doesn't listen to you. I want to hear what probably one of the biggest Genshin Impact lovers has to say about the current situation of Genshin Impact. If you enjoy this type of content, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to not miss any updates.
I guess I better go subscribe to VXV Gotcha.
This is not a hate video. What this video is a question that I've been thinking about for a very long time. I finally decided I want to make a video on it. I have been playing Genshin since when Eula came out. I've
been playing since Venti, like around the end of the Venti banner. I kind of missed him. Well, I didn't understand what banners were, and I thought he was, it was really cool. And then I saw Clea, and I was like, okay, definitely not. And yeah, man, I'll be honest. By the way, can we talk real quick about how Venti was a very solid unit, considering like it's the first character to be released in the game? It was pretty good. He lasted for quite some time before getting power crept by Kazuha. When people realized how powerful Kazuha was, especially. But since those days, I quit around Sumeru. I replayed around Fontaine. I enjoyed Fontaine. But after that, like, the game just went downhill from there, especially since Wuthering Waves came out. It's like, why would I keep playing Genshin Impact when Wuthering Waves is more tuned to me, right? Like, I feel like there's more to Wuthering Waves in terms of me as a gamer, what I enjoy in games, in Wuthering Waves more than Genshin Impact, right? And here's the reality, man. You can enjoy Genshin Impact. That's not lucky for you, to be honest with you. If you can still enjoy it, lucky for you. It's just that, to me personally, immersion really gets broken when I see a lot of the flaws that people have been complaining about for years, including myself, still being in the game, and I still have to deal with them. It reminds me that the dev doesn't necessarily care about qualities of life and my feedback, and it really breaks my immersion. It really annoys me. So it made Genshin Impact lose the magic that made it feel special day one. But yeah, we're having two OGs here talking about this.
Archon Quest. I've looked at all the memes. I've built countless characters. I've done so many events. Me too, man. I've explored not as much as I should have.
By the way, Eula was probably one of the most peak characters around the time, man. Like, that hype was crazy because it was right around Inazuma. Like, we were close. Oh man, Eula was her.
But honestly, I feel like I've spent more time in this game than I have like IRL friendships. Number one, Hoyosho. All right. But if you've been playing Genshin for a certain
shit, that's it. It's confirmed. It's official, chat. The first one, number one
amount of time, there's like a pattern that you probably noticed. And honestly, for a while, I feel like the community and myself have thought about this simple question. Why does it seem like Genshin Impact doesn't listen to us?
It's a good question.
Genshin isn't just a video game. Genshin is a live service anime casino wearing an open world RPG costume. And I truly say that with...
I don't think we can debate what he just said right now. That's pretty accurate.
love. But that does mean that every decision that Hoyo makes has to balance two things. How do we make players happy? And how do we make players want to keep logging in and potentially spending money? Because remember, Hoyo's a business, not your friend. You think that Nesnaya train?
Thank you. People tend to forget that. Though we can be acquaintances. We don't have to be your friends. We can be acquaintances in the sense of, hey, we know that we wouldn't be up here if it wasn't for them boys over there. Let's show some appreciation. At least let's up the quality, for crying out loud.
Is free, or Ether's gun, or Al Haytham's butt job? Okay, that sounded a lot better in my head.
Yeah, I have no idea what you were trying to cook there, and why am I looking at a grown-ass man's... Anyways.
Then out loud. Anyway, let's just keep moving on. And look, sometimes the two things work very well together. A new region comes out, players are happy, and Hoyo makes money, making them happy. But sometimes these goals kind of, fight each other. Players want more pulls, which I'm there with you, trust me. But Hoyo wants us to buy more pulls because, again, money. Players want a new character to feel very strong and usable at C0 versus C2. But Hoyo wants the constellations and the weapons to feel tempting. Players want old characters to get buffs, which we have been...
That's just maximizing profit to a degree that most players aren't even interested in. Like, you're trying to make people that will never go to that place anyway go there. And in trying to do so, all you do is not only... They're not going to go there in the first place. All you do is just make them distance themselves even more from the game. Because here's the thing. Players that want to get characters, like all of them, we want to get the units. We know that obtaining copies is going to get in the way of obtaining the future unit. We all know this. That's why most players just avoid pulling 2 copies, right? Sometimes they do. Sometimes they do if it's insanely powerful and you have like the luxury. Like for me recently, I had a little bit of luxury. I could get myself a E1 Mornier in Withering Waves, which is very game-changing in your account, right? It creates a lot of space in your account. Besides this one rare occasion, I'm just not going to look into trying to get copies. Slightly different in NTE. I feel like NTE did a decent job because you can select which effects you get to get, and you keep to get adapting the effect of the constellation you pick up, right? And also there's no 50-50. There's guarantees. If you get an early, for example, like what happened to me with Hattori, I got a Hattori in the first pull in the banner. I decided, why not get me an E1? Well, she showed up. I was just trying to get the bike skin, but I was fine with getting an E1. And the reason was because I got an early, or technically 2, but one was very late, like 50. Anyway, I got it for like 70 pulls. Let's just lowball it to 70 pulls. I got an A1 unit for 70 pulls. I'm able to do that through the guarantee system. And also, I don't feel as bad about that because I could just select which constellation to activate, etc. I'm now a little bit more, let's just say, willing to try and get more copies because of, let's just say, how cheap they can be and how flexible they can be to obtain, right? So there's a little bit more incentive to get them in NTE more so than the Hoyo formula-based games like all the Hoyo games, Withering Waves, etc., right? There's NTE as a little bit more incentive there. But is it still enough for players to really want to go all the way? Typically, no, because if you're free to play, these resources, this is all a resource management game. And if you don't manage your resources properly, it means you're just not going to get the future characters and stuff. And if you get lucky and it gives you a breath of fresh air where you get to save a bunch of pulls, that's a good occasion to save even more and not spend more and spend recklessly. All right, that's the smart thing to do, right? Don't be like me that kept pulling in Hattori and shit. Don't do that. No, be smarter. I think that's the best approach. So really, I feel like there's also a middle ground, which is kind of what I was mentioning at the start of the video, where they just have to choose a strategy that is true to both sides, where we appease the players, but also we make as much profit as possible. Pushing one over the other hurts the other, right? That's too extreme, right? You want to keep it balanced. And I feel like, for example, Withering Waves has been doing a decent job at this. This should just remove the 50-50, and I should probably do what they do in NTE as well with the toggling constellations. I feel like a lot of players will be very more so excited to do that. But then again, the game wasn't built with that in mind. I feel like some constellations are just way too powerful. But then again, because they are, a lot more players will be incentivized to pull for those. So like really, when you think about it, it's just good for the company's bottom line because a lot of the players that have those units, typically, they're not going to pull for copies in the first place unless they get them early, just a random luck, right? It's kind of me and Carthathia. But yeah, I feel like there's this middle ground that the company should aspire towards. But unfortunately, clearly, we see, for example, with Hoyoverse, Genshin Impact especially, it's tilted more on the one direction. And it's really starting to show, and it's hurting the enjoyment and by proxy the player base. And I don't think that's okay. And I feel like they should really, really revisit this formula. Though, tough luck for us because it's Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact has proven multiple times throughout the years, through the test of time, they're probably not going to do that. If anything, they keep getting worse. It's kind of the sad part. That's why a lot of players just dropped the game, including myself, years ago now. I want to come back. You can see it in some of my YouTube shorts. I try to pull, I try to find that spark, and also I found an excuse to, that gambling addiction to be done somewhere, right? But really, I would love for Genshin to come back, but they're just not giving us the tools.
Getting recently. But also, on the flip side, Hoyo wants the new characters to be sellable. And that's where a lot of the tension comes into play. It's more that Genshin has its own, very specific design philosophy, and the community has been fighting that philosophy since launch. So let's go back in time. When Genshin first launched in 2020, everybody was obsessed. The game was gorgeous, the exploration was magical. People were climbing mountains just to get a chest, cooking food, or...
Oh man, those were the days. And it wasn't like Wuthering Waves when you can run up the hill or you can use grappling hook. No. You have to climb and focus the stamina. You have to be careful. You were very incentivized to go get these Geoculus and Animalculus. Man, you know what? In hindsight, those were decent days. And I'll admit, those were decent days. They were good.
Or drowning because they ran out of stamina. The good old days.
There it is.
Then
There it is. He just said it. It's the good old days.
Players reached endgame, and, well, by endgame I mean, congrats, now you can spend 12 minutes using your resin and, go log off, I guess. Now, this was before my time, but original resin was, the first main frustration from the community.
I'll be honest, I used to be frustrated because I just wanted more of the game, but then in hindsight, when I really sat down and thought about it, I was like, wait a minute, this game blocks me from doing more. Therefore, I should get better hobbies. I should do other things with my time, like touch grass. And you want to know what started happening? I started getting bitches. That's right. I'm not even joking. I used to literally have bitches over with Eula on screen and stuff. I'm not even joking, man. True story. Man to God. Yep. Because the game just doesn't give me an avenue. And Genshin Impact, while I was obsessed with it, it came at a time where I had nothing to do. I just came out of The Witcher 3. I love the open world, the thematics of The Witcher 3. Not obviously Genshin Impact is not as dark as The Witcher 3, but it kind of reminded me of magical world that you could to just explore, anime-ish type of feel. I liked it. So I'm not gonna lie, man. Yeah, I might get in trouble for this one, but I think the stamina system, when you apply it when you view it as a non-gamer point of view, it's actually a good thing. It keeps you in check. It keeps you under control. So that way you don't spend too much time on something you should otherwise be doing other things. Also, you have to keep in mind that an argument that keeps popping up about this particular point is China. They don't have all the time in the world. They have a very limited gaming time due to government restrictions, I think. And because of that, they make these games with the already existing rules over there. So that way the players don't feel like they're too penalized, right? So they kind of feel like they can just log in and 12 minutes is all they need. They feel better about themselves. It's like, okay, my game that I like, I just did what I need to do. Great. I can just maybe play another game from the same company, like Hoyoverse, for example. That's what they're trying to push. You get to spend 15 minutes on Genshin, 15 minutes on SSR, 15 minutes on ZZZ. That's pretty much 45 minutes. Oh, good for you. Claps. Go do something else. Go get bitches. Right? It's good. It's good. It's not as bad when you take into consideration China and you can take into consideration a non-gamer point of view. But as gamers, as people that just want to, it's an afternoon, you're bored, you have no social life, you just want to do shit while having someone in the alt tab, probably you and me right now, you're probably having me in the alt tab just listening in. The fact of the matter is you're going to look at Genshin and go, I love this game, but I want more out of this game. And see, that's the thing, because this game, if this is what you're looking for in a game, that's just not the place. This is not what the design they're going with. And I feel like us as players should also understand that there's some games have this approach to live service gaming and other games have a certain approach. Like, for example, an MMORPG, you can keep playing and farming stuff for days. You can never leave the house. I think that's where the term no life came into play, because you had no life. I remember myself back in the day too. I had almost no life. Before Genshin Impact, I was very addicted to Overwatch. Yeah, man, it was an incredibly hard time to be me. So, yeah, I feel like as long as you understand this point especially is not as bad as people can make it out to be. Like, unless you have a a Genshin addiction, it's not necessarily that big of a problem. I get it. I would love to have the option. That would be nice. The option of I get to play all day or not is up to me. You shouldn't force me for fair, and especially when you how we know games should be. Yeah, sure. But this is a new formula that forces you. It puts you in check because a lot of us have addictions to these games, and this forces you to get the fuck out of here, or else you're just sitting there blindly picking up mint, literally being the butt of a joke in the space. So yeah.
People just wanted to keep playing the game. Like, they wanted to farm more artifacts and build their characters and fight more bosses. And at the time, for some viewers here, you might not even know this, MiHoYo, yeah, it used to be MiHoYo, like that SpongeBob character. MiHoYo, MiHoYo. Anyway, yeah, MiHoYo. God, I haven't said that in a long time. They did respond, kind of. They increased the resin cap from 120 to 160, which at the time was very nice. But it also kind of created the first Genshin community.
This wasn't enough, though.
Players ask for like a change, and then MiHoYo kind of gives a small improvement. Like feeding a little bird, like, here you go, little crumbs.
Yeah, they always do this. They're like a drug dealer. They always give you a little bit just to keep you coming back, but never enough to satisfy you.
This is important because the resin frustration actually showed the community something really early on. Genshin will adjust friction, but it won't remove friction entirely. Because something I realized is that friction is part of the live service model. Having limited resin per day slows you down, but then the daily commissions bring you back. Limited banners, they create urgency. Events create FOMO, fear of missing out, for viewers who don't know what that means. And all this stuff is not an accident. It's all part of a structure. And the answer is, and you might not like this, but some of those annoyances are part of their business model. Now, not all of it, right? Some things are like really old design, like not being able to climb up the tiniest freaking ledge and you just get stuck and then you fall to your death. But I mean, old systems could be held back by, like, I don't know, spaghetti code or something. Like their original code for
we don't know,
like paper clips and string, and they can't really fix it. Or maybe mobile UI limitations, I don't know. But I do believe, and hold on, let me get my probably should just wear this the entire video, huh? My tinfoil hat. Yeah, I have one. I think Hoyo just does a lot of it on purpose.
The reason why I feel like they could be doing this on purpose is because when you hear changes happen, you tend to want to come back. It's like a respark, a revamp, because even if they give you everything, once you are satisfied, you can get bored out of it and you just leave. But when you hear, oh, we're finally doing the change you always wanted, there's a good chance that after you're tired anyway, you're going to keep coming back. And this is what they do. They want to have this back and forth relationship with the players. That's the only explanation to me personally.
Our time starts at November 2020.
Zhongli is still, to this day, the most unique unit in Genshin Impact history. I think the reason why this happened is obviously because it was near launch, not because he's a Chinese character. It could be, but I feel like it's just because it's near launch. And Zhongli was very bad, man. It was, oof. I know good old Tectone said, hey, he's good still. Shut up. Now he's good. Back in those days, he was weird.
1.1 drops. Zhongli, the Geo Archon, the man with the biggest pillar in all of Teyvat, finally becomes playable. People have been waiting for him for so long. Bros,
what the hell so long? Like, we just went to Liyue, and I remember I went to Liyue. I saw him. I was like, can we play with this guy? Wait, pause. Can we play as this guy? And when I saw his banner, I was like, I have to get him. I got him. I was so happy. And then I go and I try to find how to use him, etc. And out of nowhere, all I hear is Zhongli sucks. Zhongli sucks. It's not a good unit. It's not a good unit. You should get Ganyu. And I'm like, well, fuck. Shit. Why? Because he's a guy character or something? Like, I like this character. He might be my favorite. But yeah, thankfully, they fixed him. And I think everybody rejoiced for that. Zhongli became, probably for the longest time, one of the most valuable units in the game.
Voice makes me feel things. That wasn't in the script. I just said that. And then people pulled him. And, well, he just wasn't it, bro. His shield apparently was bad. His damage was bad. His synergy was bad. And yes, he's a 5-star, but he kind of just felt more of like an NPC that happened to just be playable and found himself on the banner. And the backlash was pretty big. Like, even the Chinese community was insanely frustrated. And that actually does matter because Hoyo is a Chinese company. So when their domestic community gets really angry, it's harder to ignore. And that's
very more powerful than if it's just global. But I do feel like Hoyoverse responds the best when it's everybody, as in CN, global, everybody's complaining. So yeah,
when their ears kind of perk up. Like, yeah, we just dropped real life primo gems and money on this dude. Like, bro can't even beat up a Hilichurl. They do be kind of scary though, I ain't gonna lie. And Hoyo's response was pretty much just saying skill issue, honestly. I'm paraphrasing, but that was the energy. But then something incredible happened. Okay, they actually buffed him. In 1.3, they reworked Zhongli and his entire kit, HP scaling shields, 20% resistance shred. And at that moment, they literally created the strongest support in that game at the time. Bro went from, this is my biggest regret ever, to, oh my God, everyone needs this guy. And people realize, whoa, the system works. Okay, feedback actually matters. We are heard. We have been seen. We would never be listened to again. Fast forward to March 20.
Oh shit! Oh man, fuck. Yeah, see, this is what I mean. When you compare Zhongli to Dea, people were complaining about Dea but pre-release. The people that had access to leaks, they were complaining about Dea pre-release. And I'll be honest, Dea was one of the characters I was personally looking forward to. I like Dea's design. Look, I have a thing for light-skinned girls. All right, there's just the thing about them. And man, especially she was fire and two, the thematics, beautiful. But it was just so bad. It was so bad. They even put her in the standard banner, and even then, people still was like, "Man, D-Luke is better than you, girl. What the fuck do you even do?" What a sad reality, man. Because she was supposed to be the virgin carry. Because at the time, Sumeru, like all the characters, had some level of they encouraged a certain mechanic within the Dendro element. She was to do that for Burgeon stuff, but yeah, we had Nilu for Bloom. We had, I think, Cookie Shinobu, but then again, that was old. But we had Bloom, we had Burgeon, and of course, Hyper Bloom later down the road, but I guess no one really had something for that. And we had Aggravator, of course, and I think we had the Sino for that, if I remember. So we had Burgeon, someone had to do the Burgeon stuff. It was supposed to be this girl, but they fucked up. They fucked up. And a lot of people thought it was because of racism, because, she's light-skinned and stuff. Tons of theories, but I feel like they just dropped the ball. They just dropped the ball. And I feel like, I think it was Dea. She was supposed to be a pause, breath of fresh air type of character. I feel like it was a breath of fresh air type of character that Genshin does a lot, by the way. Like, for example, in Fontaine, we had this Geo Inazuma girl. I can't remember even her name. That's how much it didn't matter, right? They always put these skippable units. And I love this one thing Genshin does. I really do. I feel like because you want to pick your targets in this game, and that's why you look up information, because the resource management, like looking up information, understanding how kits work, synergy with characters work, is very important to, let's just say, get the most amount of value out of the resources you're about to spend on X or Y unit. So unfortunately for her, she was just the worst. Like if you look her up, she was just, and I think to this very day, shit, Chi-Chi's getting a rework. All these units are getting reworks, and she haven't gotten a rework, at least to my understanding.
2023, Dea comes out. Dea is the Sumeru mercenary captain. She's got a 12-pack, she's beautiful. Her trailer is one of my favorite trailers, honestly. That metal music,
she was cool. She's really cool.
But in the end, her kit literally couldn't even beat up a level 70 slime. A slime, yeah. The thing you kill in the tutorial, yeah, a 5-star couldn't do that. I know I'm over-exaggerating, but she was not good. And of course, everyone went to Twitter and launched a new campaign. Hashtag fix Dea. Globally, Korea, Japan, China, all around the world. Mr. Worldwide. The whole planet was asking for the Zhongli treatment. Hey, if you did it once, do it again. Please, save her. She's my wife. Probably someone's.
The reason why they didn't do it is because we're not around launch anymore. Like, that's it. We are now the top dog. We don't have to. That's the reason why. There's a clear difference in the time in which both of these demands were asked. Time and timing especially matters a lot, man.
And Hoyo's response, Dea didn't get buffed. She's still the way she is. So Zhongli got rescued, Dea got abandoned. So what was the difference? That moment with Zhongli actually wasn't normal. And it was honestly kind of a perfect storm. He's already more important than a lot of other characters. Something that I thought about is that he also represents leeway, which is heavily inspired by China. And also the game was young enough where Genshin felt more pressure to, appease the audience.
That's the main thing. Like, people want to keep saying, oh, it's because of culture and shit. Sure, there could be a small factor, but nothing is as powerful as we're literally in 1.1 and about to be in 1.3. And maybe they have noticed that people may have been starting to drop the game where they had to immediately save the people that were having Zhongli and had frustration with Zhongli, that were trying to drop the game, because we were approaching 1.3 and we were going to a dry patch season. Like, we were getting there. And also, something very important, we had Hu Tao around the corner now that I think about it. Hu Tao was around the corner. Guess who can help Hu Tao? That's right, Zhongli. He's one of her best teammates because she loses a lot of HP to do her stuff. Zhongli shields her to enable her to do what she needs to do. Yep.
Genshin has been very, very careful about changes that they make to a character after release. They'll fix bugs, they'll fix descriptions, they'll change and improve systems around characters, but a direct buff, kind of rare. Because here's the thing, and I thought about this when I was...
Well, they did do buffs now, right? With the whole moon thing, the whole new not cry stuff. I think Fischl, Venti, all those units. I think even Chi-Chi nowadays is getting some bit of a rework, which is amazing. Where are the Wuthering Waves buffs? Where the fuck are they? Where is the standard banner character buffs? The fuck? Where's the 1.x character buffs? For fuck's sake.
Believe characters can be changed. Every banner becomes like a war zone, honestly. And trust me, Hoyo don't want that. Now let's talk about another controversy that Genshin went through. Oh, it's so good. Now, I know I'm taking you around everywhere, okay? But trust me, when I wrote this script, it made sense in my head, all right? I'm going back now in time. I'm like Doc and Marty in the DeLorean. September 2021. The first Genshin Impact anniversary. This was hype, bro. The game
Shit.
$2 billion on mobile alone, by the way. On cell phone, mobile only. That's crazy. Dude, $2 billion? Players expected big rewards,
That's
which
a lot of
logically
money, man.
makes
2
sense.
billion?
You know, in gacha games, anniversaries are a big deal. We're literally celebrating the game, and an anniversary is a perfect time to thank the player. Hey, thank you for playing our game, and thank you for giving us money if you did, and talking about our game and liking our game. You know, it's a huge deal. You give people free stuff so that they feel appreciated, and then they go and spend money immediately.
Yeah, especially ex-gacha gamers, because for a lot of people, this Genshin was their first game, because you didn't have 2 billion people, enough people in the gacha space to make you $2 billion. Like, obviously, Genshin introduced, it brought me, like, all the normies, they saw, like, a big AAA title like that. They were, you know what, I want to check this game out, especially if it's free in anime. Oh, sign me up. And especially mobile, too, because that's where a lot of people play video games nowadays. We didn't know. I personally didn't know about this. I remember myself in 2021 when this happened, the anniversary. I had no idea what the fuck this was. I didn't even know there's any celebration or anything. Like, I don't know, right? I don't know how these things work. That they're supposed to give me free stuff. I did not know that, and I think that's what they capitalized on. They capitalized on the audience that was like myself, who are unaware of the inner workings of the gacha space. That's my theory. I don't think they did that on purpose. They did that on purpose, but there was a reason why. They just didn't do it because they hate you. I think they did it because they thought they could get away with it. And me, back in the day, people like me back in the day was the reason why.
Because let's be honest, gacha players have no survival instincts whatsoever. But when the time came, you know, like the whole community was like buzzing. Like, what are they going to do for their big celebration? You know, like, oh my God, this is the first anniversary. It's been a global success. And they announced, let me see what my script here says when I research this. A web event where 10% of players win a $5 Welkin Moon and the other 90% get 100,000 Mora. An iPhone raffle with 3 total winners across millions of players. Cosplay contest where the prize was AirPods and an art submission contest and in-game basically nothing. That was it. That was the anniversary. You know, the funny thing was that Forbes, the business magazine, the people who interview like CEOs, you know, people that are of big importance like myself, #Glaze, they wrote a piece and it was actually titled Genshin Impact Can Afford a Free Anniversary 5-Star Reward. Someone screenshotted it, put it on the Genshin subreddit, and got 17,000 upvotes in 5 days. Korean players spammed the Fallen Chi-Chi sticker. You know, this one right here on the
You guys remember this one? Oh, yeah, that takes me back.
official Discord so hard that Hoyo turned on 10-minute slow-mo. The Google Play rating plummeted, bro. It went from a 4.5 to like 1.9. 1.9. Google literally had to step in and remove bot reviews. And then somehow they got into Google Classroom, which is honestly still one of the most funniest and like unhinged moments in Genshin drama.
It's happening again, by the way.
Could you imagine? All right, class. Today we're going to be working on the Pythagorean theorem. Theory, you know?
Genshin sucks.
Yeah, hi. Primo gems? This is a classroom. What does Hoyo do? You might be asking. For over a week, nothing. PR move, I guess. But then they sent 4 in-game mails, adding up to 1,600 Primo gems, a 10 pull, plus a glider. This is the funny thing, and when I was researching for this video, apparently, I gotta sit down for this one, bro. That glider was already leaked before this happened, and it was already on schedule to like come out, and apparently it was gonna cost money. But then they were just like, you know what, let's just like put it in here. So it wasn't like they made new compensation.
Yeah,
they just like
I remember
wrapped a glider that was coming anyway and called it an apology. It's kind of like your girlfriend or boyfriend, right? Like forgetting your birthday and then giving you a Christmas present in October and being like, see, I do care, babe, you know? Players notice that when controversy gets big enough, Genshin moves. But again, I think Hoyo actually learned a different lesson this time than what we think. They realized that rewards are very dangerous territory, and gacha players will literally rip your throat out if they don't get more Primo gems. You give too little, players will riot. But if you give too much, then players are going to expect that or more every year. So now it feels like Genshin's very controlled with their rewards. It's definitely better than the first anniversary, but
yeah, because they don't want to give too much, because if they give too much, it starts to go against the bottom line. It's like I said at the start, you can't be too emotional, you can't give too much, or else you're not core paying right. And core paying is, well, fucking the consumer as much as you can get away with, especially. So, yeah.
You know, it always could be more. That does bring me into my next topic, and that's the, you know, pulls that we get. If you don't spend money in the game or you're a very low spender, it's a very different game that you're playing than a whale. Now, let me stop you there. I'm not bragging about being a whale. If anything, that's probably my biggest regret. My accountant literally hates me. Anyway, when you're playing the game as a free-to-play or low spender, you're a whale. Now, if you don't spend money in the game or you're a very low spender, it's a very different game that you're playing than a whale. Now, let me stop you there. I'm not bragging about being a whale. If anything, that's probably my biggest regret. My accountant literally hates me. Anyway.
Yeah, let's be honest. Whaling in a gacha game, especially when you start to get the honeymoon phase is over, you start to get tired of it. Oh man, you start to see the sunk cost fallacy, and you go, man, do I just want to keep playing because I spent money on this? I just want to move on, but I'm tired. So which means I just spend all this money for nothing. But then you remember you spend money on a lot of useless shit. It's just that you can't see them anymore because you consumed them. So the reason why you're mad about Genshin or like any live service game you spend money on is because you can still see it. But once it's gone, you're just not going to see it. Like, the fact is, we spend a lot of money on stupid shit, all right? That's just how a lot of companies work. Let's call for what it is.
Right. When you're playing the game as a free-to-play or low spender, you're playing the game very differently, and you have different challenges that you have to overcome, because money ain't going to fix it. But the problem now with modern Genshin is that there are more characters. There's like 110 characters. There's more team comps, more reactions. Meta's always changing. There's more specialized supports. There's also more endgame content that they added that encourages you to have more characters. There are mechanics that are tied to regions.
Yeah, it's a collection game. And I think it's very well known that gacha games really want you to be a collector more than anything else. Because if you're a collector, it means you want everything. And if you want everything, that's more money for them.
Like Natlan. The problem is that the amount of pulls that they're giving per patch doesn't sync with current Genshin anymore, because Genshin is asking more of us now. But it feels like some things just haven't scaled properly with it. Like literally in 2020, you could have pulled Venti and you would have been like, dude, I can destroy anything. This is awesome. I hope this game never changes. But then in 2026, you pull a DPS character and it's like, oh great, awesome. Do you have their premium support and their premium weapon and another character? Because you're gonna need all of that for them to do something. Do something. It's like, bro, come on. I got like 47 primo gems here. Give me a break. And so with that, it feels like they have a lot of listening to do. But I was just talking about endgame, and that's gonna be my next point actually. Because for a long time, players were asking for new endgame modes that were tougher and more challenging. And something besides Spiral Abyss. More challenges to use their built characters on, you know?
Exactly, because at some point we were just a little too powerful, right? Like, an argument could be made that it's the same for Wuthering Waves, but I feel like if you don't have the skills in Wuthering Waves like myself, I don't get 3 stars, right? I don't finish completely 3-star everything, right? I typically get as much stars as I can. Typically, I just miss out on like 50, right? And it's not that much of a debuff, right? I don't feel bad about missing out on 50 Astras, 50 Primo Gems if you're a Genshin player. But for Genshin, you can just obliterate everything. You get the full resources, but the fact is you just didn't enjoy it too much. It just feels like a part of the dailies. It's like an extension of the dailies. It's kind of fun because you see how powerful you are, but also in another sense, it's like, well, why do I min-max and do all this extra shit if I'm just not going to even be challenged remotely, right? So, yeah, I feel like Wuthering Waves does it a lot better in that regard, which I feel like Genshin should do that. I don't know if they did it or not. I hear there's power creep. You can't do this with any team anymore. Back in the day, Genshin Impact, you could do this with any team. Even we were like 2.0 and stuff, and I could still clear content with Diluc, Chinchu, Bennett, and some stuff, and like I'm just kicking ass. But it's not the same anymore. It's not because that's where the complaint originated. It's around those days. So yeah.
Because it felt like for a long time that Genshin had this cycle where like new character comes out, you pull character, you spend your time and your resin building character, leveling their talents and their weapons and all that, and optimizing their builds. And the hardest enemy that you had to fight was not having a skip button and hearing Paimon talk. Wait.
Fucking based. Where's the skip button? How the fuck is a game that's almost 6 years old not have a skip button with a recap? Is beyond me. Dude, I would literally give Genshin another go if they could just add that. Because I'm interested in the story. Like, I was already invested at some point. We're in Snezhnaya, like, all right, it's the end. Like, we get to finally know why the fuck were we around, what's going on, right? What's going on? We already know about the goddesses from that Genshin Impact trailer. Even my ass know about that. It's like, okay, it's the end. Can I know? Well, you have to keep clicking buttons. Okay, can I just click one button when I see that it's just bullshit? Thank God for like YouTube recappers.
Too much. But jumping ahead a little bit to the 2nd anniversary, we're bracing for impact. Surely they learned, right? Surely after the disaster last year, they go big and we get 20 free wishes, a pet crane, and some ascension mats. So that's about it. And according to my research, a website called The Gamer, they had an article and it was literally titled "The Community Collectively Shrugs." Like, yeah, but year one, people lost their minds. But year two, you know, they were a little bit better awards, but we kind of just accepted it. But see, hold on. But see, that's the pattern, right? Okay, yes. That's how this works. Hoyo lowered our expectations. All right, stick with me here. They lowered our expectations on purpose, but the bare minimum. But feel like
exactly.
Makes sense, right? We got trained.
I remember making this video. It was a friend of mine that told me this. You guys can check it out right here. It's one of my oldest videos ever. It's this one. Exposing Genshin Impact devs manipulating tactics. We went over how it's a marketing strategy for like if you want to haggle or something like that, you just lower the expectations so much to the point where, yeah, it's you know, anything you do, yeah, they kind of manipulated it with that shit.
Trained like a dog, and it worked. We accepted it. And just to prove that that wasn't just a fluke, when 4.4 Lantern Rite came out, it's around January 2024, I think, it had worse rewards than past Lantern Rites. And Billy, the Chinese YouTube, by the way, review bombed Genshin Chinese accounts, and their follower accounts started dropping. I think they lost over 1 million.
They just spotted that shit.
So now buckle up.
This was the 3 polls. I don't think he mentioned the 3 polls here. This was the 3 polls boycott stuff. That's where I started making YouTube videos.
Because we're about to hit the boss level of Hoyo's not listening. In October of 2022, GameSpot had an interview with Hoyo, all right? And the community was begging for more endgame content, myself included. Anyone AR55 or higher, like, basically had nothing to do. Like, use resin, you log out, that's about it. That's your cycle for the day. So Hoyo...
And Abyss also feels like just an extension of that, which was really bad. At least for Wuthering Waves, for example, for me, I'm like, Tower of Adversity, oh shit. All right, time to see if I developed a little bit, right? There's a little bit of excitement there. Not the case in Genshin Impact, man.
Gave an official answer. People were excited for it. And I'm going to actually read it to you exactly because it's crazy. I quote, Spiral Abyss is one of the most effective ways for players to test out their party composition and combat strength. If we design another type of permanent endgame that is similar to Spiral Abyss, it might end up creating excessive anxiety for our players.
This is by far one of the ultimate lines we've heard. This is a meme.
Not everyone is interested in Musk Reef. Excessive anxiety.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh God, I remember the community memeing that one up, bro. Holy. We were just asking for harder fights, bro. And I feel like that was such a weird interview and excuse that I've ever heard from a developer. Like, we can't add more endgame because players who don't do endgame might feel anxious knowing it exists. You know what I mean? Like, let's be for real. People who don't do endgame, they don't even open Spiral Abyss. And I'm going to tell you right now, they're not going to lose sleep over a second optional thing that they'll just ignore.
Absolutely.
Like a restaurant who can't add a dessert because guests who don't want dessert will feel pressure to get dessert. You know what I mean? It makes no sense. Just don't do it. People who don't do it won't do it. And
here's what he's missing. Genshin Impact wants to make you feel better about yourself. That's what they really want to do. It's a psychological, let's just say, I guess manipulation / fix, but not really, because it's a coping mechanism that people that are, let's just say, not feeling the best about themselves, that question their abilities, that are insecure especially, need to feel like they're the best at something. They feel like they're the greatest. Genshin Impact easily gives you that feel. With basic understanding, you can feel like you are him. This game can easily make you feel like you are him. That's why, like, mobile games, whatever the form, they will go, oh, wow, you're great at this. Wow, perfect. All these shiny lights and shiny stuff like that telling you you're so good. Ooh, whippy. It's done on purpose. It's a tactic for players that are insecure to take advantage of your lackings in your personality. We see them doing that with the 2D anime baddies because this is obviously, I mean, that was their sales pitch to investors, where MiHoYo, when they're selling the game, they said, we're making a video game where you can buy anime girls, basically. And a lot of guys are lonely out there. I mean, it's true to this very day. Have you seen the male loneliness epidemic? That's quite the big social issue right now in society as a whole, especially the Western society. They're taking advantage of that. And if they're willing to take advantage of people's romantic issues, they're, of course, going to take advantage of people's, let's just say, lack of performance in their own daily lives to, you know, better propose their stuff, which, to be honest, it's not just MiHoYo. MiHoYo may have been one of the pioneers of taking advantage of the loneliness epidemic, but when it comes to making you feel good about yourself, etc., I feel like that's something video games have been doing since day one. Unbeknownst to some, at the start, but anybody that did a case study and looked at how video games affect players, the pattern is obvious. A lot of players cope for their lackings in their life through video games because they're good at the video game. Therefore, I'm at least good at something. I can feel better about myself, or else my life is just too dark. So yeah, that's why they keep doing that shit.
Small streamer who's also short IRL. His name is Zyox. You might know him. He wrote, "I'm truly more sad than angry." That pretty much sums that up. honestly. Good job. Like, we weren't even mad. We were just disappointed, like a dad. Like my dad. Because, you know, my dad left me. Never met my dad, so it's probably because he's disappointed in me. Sorry, because he's disappointed in me. But look at me now, Dad. But remember that quote, excessive anxiety. Burn that into your head, all right? Because that line will be coming back in the video. And at the time, I think this answer did explain a lot because it feels like Hoyo saw the game more as a casual game for casual players. Exploration, story, events, TCG.
And a feel-good type of game.
A little bit of combat. Sometimes, I don't know.
Well, the combat is there for it to be as easy as possible so that when you do it, you feel like you're the greatest.
Mint. You know, that was Genshin, casual fun game. And low-key, I won't lie, I feel like that is a big part as to why Genshin is so successful. But for the players that really focus on the
because there's a new generation of gamers. A lot of players don't want to admit that, but there's a new generation of gamers. Kids have started to grow up. Yeah, there's a new generation. It's not the same as us. Yeah, I know it sounds uncly as fuck right now, but it's the truth. Some players just they don't tackle games the same way we tackle them. And we have to understand that. There's a new market for these companies to exploit. We may not be the target audience, but some other players create it. And because of that, we as gamers, when you look at Genshin Impact and what you want from the game is X, and it's not delivering that, you have to look at the competitor, for example, Wuthering Waves, deliver some of that to a good extent. You go to Wuthering Waves. That's why I feel like these games should coexist instead of one thing dooming the other. It's a big market, and any type of player can find something for themselves. I feel like that's good, right? But you shouldn't try to push too hard and try something too hard. You shouldn't try to demand as much or something that is not the ultimate vision of a product, because you're just going to be left with disappointment. Once I realized that what Genshin Impact is trying to do is just a feel-good type of game, and I'm not looking for a feel-good type of game, I was just left and just go to Wuthering Waves. It's still feel-good, but it challenges me. I find that entertaining more than just feeling good about myself. So yeah, that's a simple fix.
Combat and difficulty, it kind of felt unheard. Like, okay, what's the point of building my characters or getting constellations for them? And a lot of players wanted Genshin to become something deeper. Like Hoyo wanted Genshin to be just accessible and easy to pick up and play and enjoy, while a lot of players wanted hard.
We've seen this also in Overwatch. I don't know if you guys know about Overwatch, but Overwatch is a very, very skillful game. But then came out a character called Brigitte. I think it's Brigitte. No, Brigitte. Yeah, Brigitte is, I think, the way you say it. So Brigitte was a character for a shooter. Well, I guess you can't. Overwatch is not necessarily a shooter because you have characters that use freaking tasers, they're not all using guns. Brigitte was so simple. Anybody with just a decent understanding of a shooter game can pick it up and just be decent at the game, right? You can win games, etc. And yeah, that's the reason why that happened, is because of that. Because they wanted to really, really give that feel good in Overwatch. And when a lot of people were complaining about Brigitte, I remember vividly them saying, we want everybody to feel included in Overwatch. And a lot of backlash happened because the core audience of Overwatch at the time were a bunch of shooters, sweaty ass, I need to headshot you type of quick 360, no scope, boom, right? So yeah. So what I'm trying to say is this sentiment is something we've seen before, and we've seen companies try to implement it in their games as well. And we go back to my previous point where depending on the audience, depending on what the game is really trying to do, you're going to have a type of audience. And if you, a player, come to a game and you see that this game is not for your type of audience, you move on to another thing and keep feeling miserable and keeping yourself feeling miserable in a game that clearly is not intended for your type of player is just doing yourself a disservice. These games need to coexist. Not everything is about you. Not everything is trying to appeal to you specifically. I feel like that is a very important lesson you have to keep in mind as you tackle these free-to-play games, especially.
Or permanent game modes, myself included, actually.
Oh, man.
Now we're gonna go over this way to December of 2023. Hoyoverse drops their new game, Honkai Star Rail. They give every player a free doctor ratio. This guy that throws...
It came later.
Stop. That throws chalk at you? Dude, stop, man. God, I always hated him. A free 5-star.
Genshin could never. This is the spawn of Genshin could never.
Your inbox. And he's good. And I remember this because the Genshin community lost their minds, bro. Absolutely. At the time, we were asking for something like that for like 3 years. And it's the same company. Probably the same building. Different team, sure, but the same company.
Yeah, it's fucking Kai Haoyu. That asshole was... He ruined Honkai Impact 3rd. David Young came in. David Young is the one that's taking the SSR department, and Kai Haoyu is the one handling the Genshin Impact department. That asshole, when you compare both of their, let's just say, tactics when it comes to how they go about game developer to player relationship, they're completely different. Kai Haoyu was basically about to ruin Honkai Impact 3 before they moved him to Genshin Impact as they were developing it, and put David Young there, and David Young helped propulse Honkai Impact 3 to what it eventually became, because it was very popular at the time. That was their first successful IP before Genshin Impact. And when Genshin Impact released, unfortunately, he kept doing the same old bullshit. But this time they were too big to fail. So yeah, he could just keep getting away with the bullshit he does.
With the same wallet, same budget, same Dawei. Unless he has clones. Do you think Dawei?
No, it's not Dawei. That's the thing. A lot of people think it's Dawei. It's not. David Young is the one handling HSR, unless something changed. Kai Hao-yu is the one handling Genshin Impact. So obviously, Dawei is like kind of in the middle, but not. It's not Dawei. Dawei isn't the one that have the final say in what happens in the product. Because Dawei cried and did all that bullshit. Kai Hao, you look at him and was like, I don't care. And I think if I remember, this was like 2 years ago. It could have been changed. Kai Hao has a huge amount of shares within the company because he's one of the founders of the company. So they can't necessarily just, get in the way of how he wants to do business. If he wants something to happen like that, he has as much say as Dawei. You know what? Let's look it up real quick. In case I'm just putting my foot in my mouth. Kai Hao remains the largest shareholder of MiHoYo, controlling 41% of the company shares. So Dawei doesn't have dick on Kai Hao-yu. Fuck Dawei. Dawei ain't doing shit for you. If you want to complain about somebody, Kai Hao-yu is your man. Dawei is literally just the forefront, the guy you just see. So yeah, man. Unfortunately, we will go, for example, over here again. Kai Hao-yu has 41%. Liu Wei, I think that's Dawei, he's 22%. Yu Huo is 21%. The remaining belongs to Hangzhou Meiji Investments, just investors like that. So unfortunately for y'all, you're all going after the wrong guy.
Wei has clones? I could see that. But they just decided to do that, not here, but over here in a different game. And there was a news article, and the top Reddit comment on that article, and I quote, "It's Genshin. The best free thing we'll ever get is limited 4-star weapons that will never return." Oh my God, it's so true. I feel like even to this day, bro. And that's it. That's the moment we all figured out the truth. Hoyoverse can be generous. They just chose for 3 full years to not be. With Genshin. And you might probably already know this or what I'm about to say, but Genshin didn't have a big competitor. Star Rail launched into, the turn-based market, which actually had rivals within it. So Hoyo had to be generous to keep HSR alive. But Genshin, I mean, where are you gonna go? Wuthering Waves wasn't out yet. We were trapped, and so they honestly just didn't bother. And that's not a story about Hoyo not caring, okay? That's a story about Hoyo being able to keep HSR alive. But Genshin, I mean, where are you gonna go? Wuthering Waves wasn't out yet. We were trapped, and so they honestly just didn't bother.
Really?
And that's not a story about Hoyo not caring, okay? That's a story about Hoyo being very good at strategy. And that really reinforced the rule where Zhongli was not a rule. It was an exception. That's probably one of the most frustrating parts of the community. Because when players know something can happen once, they'll always ask, why can't it happen again? Why buff Zhongli but not Dea? Why add all these little quality of life changes when you're not adding the ones we're actually asking for? I'm gonna get my chair for this one because I'm about to teach a lot of people about the world. For change to actually affect something, it's gonna have to affect one of these 3 things: revenue, reputation, retention. RRR. If something is hurting those, Genshin's more likely to respond. If something's just annoying but people keep logging in, well, enjoy hearing.
It doesn't matter. Exactly.
470.
Because a lot of these Genshin haters are a bunch of fake ass, just weirdo, just trying to virtue signal online. But the reality is you are addicted. It's like that guy that keeps complaining about their girlfriend, but we know after that conversation is over, he's about to buy her another gift and keep having to deal with the very same shit he just complained about.
6,000th time. But let's take a minute and talk about quality of life, because Genshin has added a lot of quality of life over the years. And you can't deny the game is a lot better than what it was in 1.0.
Sure.
Artifact Strongbox.
I mean, it's been 6 years almost, so I bet it is.
Which I say that, but it's still kind of a scam. But we also have Encounter.
It's better than Wuthering Waves. Let's call that for what it. That's still better than Wuthering Waves. I don't know how Wuthering Waves 1 is so bad. But you can get the echoes for free. You can just farm them endlessly. Shut up. I don't care. No one does that shit. I have a life. I get my dick sucked. No.
Better map tools for exploration, improved domains, underground maps, training guides, boss material tracking, more resin increase, even though I wish we had more. And all of that is really good. But the reason players still complain is because those changes took years to make. And sometimes Genshin adds a quality of life feature that feels like it should have been there since launch. It's like,
because they do that because they always hear what you have to say, but they keep him in this pin. Put him in this pinned wall, right? And put all the feedback. And in case of emergency, when things are becoming a little stale, a little low, we take one of those and we apply them. But sometimes not completely, because that's just be too much. Right? It's like we want to meet you in the middle, right? They do that a lot.
If your friend buys a trash can to put their trash in,
all
you
strategy.
expect applause from people. Like, bro, why didn't you just have a trash can? Now, obviously, there's some pretty big examples, right? Like me personally, artifact loadouts, a skip button, more resin, you know, everything.
I'll be honest, artifacts loadouts don't necessarily matter, at least to me personally. I don't know why people keep sweating about that. Skip button is very important. I feel like that's just a must when you consider the gaming experience the game wants you to have. I feel like it's very important. Like I can flip through the chapters if I want to.
All the things everyone asked for. But players feel ignored because the speed
But they should still add the artifact loadout. I'm not saying they shouldn't. I'm just saying,
of improvements kind of, you know, just feels disconnected from the size of the game and the popularity of it. So when it takes years,
That's the biggest complaint. It's like if they're this big and they treat it like this, what does this say about the gaming community, or what does it say about video games? Well, actually, it says that if a game isn't too successful, it's kind of what you want in terms of a dev to player relationship. When it's not too successful, you can expect a lot of good treatment.
to put in a basic feature that we've been asking for, people just kind of sit there and ask, how? Like, why did it take so long? And maybe the answer is because Genshin is like on a cycle. Like every 6 weeks, new events, new characters, quests, areas, music, you know, everything. Live stream, drip marketing, new everything. The content machine is insane. And maybe because of that, I don't know, maybe Genshin seems like they're better off making new content and new things versus revisiting old things. It really just kind of feels like maybe they think we'll forget about all those things that we wanted for years. And there's like, here's something new. Here's
No, those are just in case of emergency. You know it. We all know it. Like it's so obvious. I appreciate you like, comment, subscribing to the video. I really appreciate that. So yeah, I'm sorry, but to me, the only logical explanation is in case of emergency, do this. It's so obvious because they did that a lot.
And that can just be very frustrating. And speaking about frustrating, let's talk about current events.
Uh-oh. Why is he purple?
Now we fast forward to July of 2024. Natlan gets revealed. It's a new nation inspired by Latin American, African, Mesoamerican, Polynesian, Mayan culture. Very cool, very exciting stuff. And well, almost every character was light-skinned. And out of 9...
That doesn't matter. That just doesn't matter. Yes, they're supposed to be true to IRL, but in terms of the region, not necessarily the characters. All right, it doesn't matter. The whole point of racism is that the skin color shouldn't matter in the slightest. Like whether the character is white, black, whatever, it shouldn't matter at all. That's the whole point. I'm not gonna sit here and get angry at them for not doing that because it's stupid. And a lot of the people that are doing this are just performative douchebags trying to capitalize on what once was a very strong presence of wokeness within the community that has since been gone. Okay, let's just say woke is not as big as it once was. We all know this by now. And they were just trying to capitalize on that sentiment to gain online points. Is me, because I remember that this is a Chinese game in CN. Unfortunately, in Asia, I think as a whole, light skin is very beautiful to them. That's just a cultural thing. And considering where the game is coming from, you having to consume a CN type of game and how you should know about their culture and how they'll go about doing their things, you are actually the one that is just a little unaware of certain things, to say, because you're saying they're unaware of how this culture is. Well, actually, you are the one that is unaware of where your very product is coming from and what culture is behind the very product. Hence, it will probably mean they will probably apply this or this or that, because you are in their house, not the other way around. Now, an argument could be made, like for the people that are complaining about this, still have a bit of that for that. You just apply a different type of patch. For global, they can be more mixed. For CN and Asia servers, they can be the way they did them. Sure. But then again, it's such a, let's call it for what it is, also a dying sentiment. Like they knew, it's like virtue signaling craps. Let them talk and let's look at that. Nothing happened in the end. The game still kept rising, doing its thing.
Reveals one had darker skin. Now look, I'm not here to argue about the politics and all of this stuff, okay? I'm just here to tell you what happened. I'm just trying to give you the facts. But there was a petition that did launch on change.org, and by November it had over 120,000 signatures. And
it didn't work. Their plan did not work.
Even the hashtag boycott Hoyoverse, that started a trend. And here's the point.
Oh, it revived this. Dude, boycott Hoyoverse has just kept happening and happening and happening. Again and again and again.
That you don't believe until you see it, but Genshin's own voice actors, people who were actively employed.
They were virtue signaling so bad. That's what I distanced myself from VAs. I think the only VA that's I feel like is based is the Carthathea VA. I forgot her name, Amanda something. Besides that, I'll be honest, like I'm very skeptical when it comes to VA content. I'm just like, I don't know, because I know they're just very performative because they have to, because that's the space they're in. It is what it is. VA community for some reason is a little too sensitive and a little too, I don't know, it's just weird. Like you always hear VA doing the cringiest high school weird woke shit. I'm not saying woke is bad. I'm just saying too much wokeness is bad. It just becomes so cringe and weird.
A lot of the community was on the same page. Other people were not, you know, it was just a mess. This is probably the biggest backlash the game had ever seen.
I think the three pools was bigger. Yeah, I think this is just a Western thing. I think Asia didn't give a fuck. I feel like the three pools was as big as it got. Google Classroom at the start, that was as big as it got. This was, compared to the scale of those two,
Nothing.
It didn't matter too much.
No design changes. Natland shipped.
I'm going to go ahead and say it, based. You want to know what's funny? I'm pretty sure the people from that culture didn't even complain as much as people that weren't even from that culture. Yeah, I don't think those people care about, oh, they need to be light-skinned. They're representing our culture. They're doing what they need to do. It's fine. Because there was a little bit of that sentiment in Sumeru, because Sumeru is supposed to be the Arab culture, which is I'm from, right? You can notice I'm a little brownish, right? A little bit of a light skin. But we don't care, because I know a lot of us are also white, that there's a little bit of mix of all. So like it's still somewhat accurate. I guess that's why it didn't go that big. But now, because of, let's just say, maybe more tan skinned colors are more present there than, say, for example, the Arab culture, I guess that's why like a lot of people were trying to make a big deal out of it. But I feel like the only reason why it happened in that particular time and not in Sumeru is because I feel like woke was really even bigger than, it felt like the last scream before going down was around those days, and I feel like that's why it's happened. I could be wrong here. Not like necessarily. I don't think
exactly as planned. Now hold on. Okay, hold on. The 2021 anniversary backlash was big, and they caved. The 2024 Natland backlash was bigger, and they didn't. Why? Because the Natland characters were sold on banners. Moika, Shalonen, Kanich, Mualani. Every one of those banners did numbers. Whales pulled, dolphins pulled.
Because no one gives a fuck. Because a lot of the people, a lot of the sentiment that's been represented online is fake. It's just inflated anger that is completely built on fake virtue signaling. That's it. The numbers are showing it. CN is, Asia as a whole probably don't give a fuck about what some Westerners have to say about their culture of preferring lighter skin. They don't give a damn. You don't live with us. Don't judge us by your morals. Don't judge us by your culture. We do things differently here. Respect us as we respect you. It's that simple.
Competition didn't really move the wallet. So Hoyo didn't move. And that is the formula. Loud does not matter. Loud and broke, that matters. But don't worry, because what's Genshin Impact without another controversy? In 2024, like the middle of 2024, something happens. No, not the duality of man.
If you know, you know.
Below $1 billion. Oh my God, my lobster, so buttery. My steak too juicy. We didn't make $1 billion. I know that kind of sounds stupid, but at that level, that is a pretty big drop. It went from 1.3 billion in 2023 to 700-ish, 800 million in 2024. So that's a pretty big drop. And the monthly player count dropped from around 11.3 million to around 9.3 million. So still healthy, but a big drop. But then suddenly, like a switch, Hoyoverse pulled out some big things. And no, I'm not talking about Zhongli's pillar. That is pretty big. August 2024, the 4th anniversary, they announced for the first time in the game's history, a free 5-star selector from the standard.
Oh yeah, right. I remember that shit.
From now on, moving forward. Imaginarium Theater came out. The second endgame mode that they said that they would.
By the way, at the point where it didn't really matter as much, unfortunately.
Would never make, by the way, because of what was that? Excessive anxiety. I told you. Come back in the video. Shipped in 4.7 a few months earlier. The 5th anniversary, they expanded the free 5-star selector. They gave out 2,800 Primo Gems. They add a feature called To Temper Thyself that gives you up to 4 free constellations for older characters per year. They dropped Stygian Onslaught, their 3rd endgame mode, after years of saying, never gonna happen. But hold up, let's roll the clip back to 2022. What did it say? It might end up creating excessive anxiety. Well, I think that anxiety was fine. I guess the players turned out to be okay. Funny how that becomes fine when monthly active users drop.
Well, it's because the players grew up a bit.
By 2 million and revenue drops by 600 million. This is what I've been building to. Hoyoverse is not tone deaf. Hoyoverse is not ignoring you. They don't just listen to feedback. They listen to their balance sheet, okay? Money. The feedback only matters when the balance sheet agrees with it. Zhongli got buffed because his banner sales were plummeting. Daya didn't because new characters were already being announced and she went to standard. The 1st anniversary got bandaged up pretty quickly after the review bombing on the App Store, which threatened new player acquisition. Natland didn't get fixed because the banners were printing money anyways. And I say this a lot on my streams, but like, they don't want the best for you. It's a business. They want money. And it's not just Genshin. It's every company. Every company in the world. Except for that one company, the Arizona Tea. That guy's a good guy. It's still 99 cents. Even with inflation, bro. But yeah, anyway, in 2025 and early 2026, it finally felt like things were different. Player count rebounded back up to like 16.
There it is. See, there it is. The moment, in case of emergency, take something off the board, apply it, players are going to come back. There it is. It's a song and dance as old as time. It's going to keep working because a lot of players are emotionally invested where they finally hear that there's a change that they always wanted to see happen in the game. They're going to come back.
Million, the vibes were genuinely really good. And some people, myself included, started thinking maybe Hoyo really did learn. It's just getting better and better. Well, about that. This week, literally as I'm filming this video right now, it is May 14th. Players are review bombing Genshin and Hoyo versus actual offices on Google Maps. Yeah, Google Maps, not the App Store, the office, like the building where they sit and make the game. But here's what happened, okay? Version 6.6 is coming and it has
I pulled for this character. She looks pretty.
multiple highly anticipated characters, right? And players did the math, and they've been doing the math because gacha players can't read, but we're good at math. And the patch gives somewhere between 60 to 65 pulls, which is not enough to guarantee a single limited 5-star character, let alone get you to soft pity if you're starting at 0.
That's kind of what's sad is that you can't even get to soft pity. What the fuck?
If we expand upon that and look at the bigger picture here, yeah, I'm using my brain. I'm on my Adderall today, guys, okay? My 3 brain cells have quadrupled to 8. That's math for you. But if you zoom out of it, it's not just give us more primos. It's Genshin is asking more from us as this game grows, but it's not giving me enough resources to keep up. That's honestly the real issue. And I felt this way for, oh man, a while. I talk about it on my stream a lot. Twitch.tv/Doro44. If you're not watching me live, what are you doing? I'm a pretty funny guy. But anyway, on a more serious note, if a patch is giving 60 to 65 pools, but it's dropping 2 new characters, I mean, F2P players are gonna feel a little squeezed. Like, they're not gonna be able to do that. 60 pulls isn't even enough for soft pity. That's 75. And then hard pity is 90.
Well, they want you to, you know, pay up some money to finish up the rest. You know, give them just about enough, but not enough to get to that golden shiny light. Let's test that. Let's see how far that can work. I'm pretty sure this is just a test of how far they can push things. That's what it screams to me personally.
And if you didn't know this, not a guarantee. There's a 50-50. You might lose. Oh, wait, hold on. I just thought about it. That's what gotcha means. Gotcha game. Gotcha. Gambling. Oh, that makes sense. But that's only the half of it, right? Because the bigger problem is honestly the new Lunar Reactions. Lunar Reactions is the new meta. Lunar Charge, Lunar Bloom, Crystallize, these reactions are the new strongest damage in the game. And the supports that enable them, like Columbina, Inefa, Flynn's, they're almost all premium 5 stars. So if you're F2P, you're being asked to pull 5-star DPS and 5-star supports to just keep up in today's game. And it's called the wheelchair comp, right? Where a character really needs other characters to really be good. Every pull starts to really matter in a patch that only gives you 60 pulls. And the math just doesn't work anymore. The game has changed where it feels like the rewards that we get have not scaled with the amount of things that are in the game. I've been saying this for a while. The 4-star support era, you know, Bennett, Xiangling, Xingqiu, that era where like the national team could carry you in most like situations. Kind of almost done. And the new era is going to cost us money.
Yeah, I feel like that was the beauty of Genshin Impact in the time because like you could just play those characters and like you're fine. I think they buffed Fischl. I think Bennett is probably still solid, but Bennett is now more of a benefit to the new units more than the I just said the 4-star supports, etc. I don't know how good Bennett is. I'm pretty sure he's still a solid unit. There's no way they just power crept him. And Bennett is still by far the biggest anomaly in gacha history, especially when it comes to the Hoyo formula games. So yeah, but gone are the days where you can just make up with instead of Yelan, you can just play Chinchu and you'll still be fine. Nah, those are gone.
And the frustrating part is that Genshin has trained players to expect better. Dendro was amazing when it came out, and it gave new life to old characters. Kuki became incredible. Kaching, I even made a video on this.
Aggravate.
Usable. Lisa had more value. Toma, people were using Toma again, and that was like
version. He was good with version.
A new element or a mechanic that expands your options. When players feel like a new mechanic narrows those options, then the game just starts to feel bad. And that's why, you know, the advice I've always given people is just pull who you like. That advice is starting to kind of feel weaker.
A gacha unit has to check 3 boxes for it to be the best, let's just say, use of your resources. You like the character, of course, 100%. Power of the character, how powerful they are, and personality and relatability. Those are the most important part. But usually it's the first 2. Like the third one, you can, you know. But the first 2, very important. A lot of the time, some players will pull for characters because of their power, because they support their already existing character that has the 3 boxes checked, right? That'll happen too. But for the most part, the best usage for your resources is when a character checks all these 3 boxes. Just because I like I hate him, doesn't mean if he's not powerful, I'm just gonna spend everything on him because I just like him. No, that's just not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. It's not enough of an incentive for me to go in on the character. However, you know a unit is powerful, you resonate with the character, you relate to the character, and you like the aesthetics of the character. That's just a must pull to you. So what they should be doing is obviously, well, actually what we should be doing also as a community is encourage people to go, not every character is going to be for you. There's just a fact. And your hope is always going to be for your character that you like, for it to also be meta relevant. Therefore, if they make as much meta relevant characters that doesn't necessarily power creep each other in the season, right? Let's call the season like a 6.0 to 7.0, right? From 6.0 to 7.0, 6, 7. There's a season, right? In that season, typically these gacha games don't necessarily make characters that power creep each other in that particular season, right? And they should make as much characters as possible that are aesthetically pleasing, etc. Now, the issue becomes is where, say for example, none of the characters you like, say for example, the only character you like happened to be released on 6.8, right? None of the characters you've seen were like appealing to you. You can always take a make with character before you see the character that you really, really like. So really, how many pulls you have also plays a huge part, because if you have a lot of pulls, you can just get something that you feel like it's just you want that breath of fresh air, because that's also how these games are built. You want characters to give you that breath of fresh air to help you with enjoying the live service model you're playing with, right? So what I'm really trying to say is people should also be more focused in picking up targets, right? You can't get everything, and not everybody and every character is specifically designed for your tastes. They're trying to touch on every type of taste and every type of player to find something they really, really like. So as long as you understand that, I feel like personally, as long as you have a decent, solid account that can still clear end game content, my approach for Genshin Impact, I was very much so rewarded for, is I know that every character is just not gonna be for me. I just skip a lot of units. I wait, I pick my targets, especially when I hear something is very meta relevant. I don't necessarily have to like the character too much. The more you spend time with the character, the more you're gonna see certain things that typically characters in their how they're trying to sell them in terms of relatability, they always say some line or something or a sentiment that you're gonna resonate with to a good extent. All right, typically they're fine, and I feel like that's the best approach, in my opinion, when it comes to games that are just say very resource scarce like Genshin Impact. I feel like that's the best approach.
Saying it a lot less, actually, because it doesn't really hold up anymore. And by the way, there is one detail that I do have to include. Last year, 2025, Hoyo paid $20 million to settle with the FTC. The Federal Trade Commission.
Oh yeah, that happened. I remember.
Players about loot box costs and, prize odds, and for violating children's privacy rules. They did not admit to any wrongdoing. They just paid the money and brushed it under.
Settling. Yeah, it's just it's kind of like a tax that came out of nowhere. It's like a PR tax. Like, all right, here you go.
It's kind of a classic move, right? But here's the part that matters to our story. The generous era, the free 5 stars, the second end game, all of it, right? Most of that lines up around the FTC investigation and the revenue cliff. So when you ask, did Hoyo become a better company? Maybe the answer is Hoyo became a better company while regulators and investors were watching. Like they were forced to. So back to the original question, why won't Genshin listen to you? Because you asking is not the price they pay for ignoring you. If you want Hoyo to listen, you don't have to scream louder. You have to make ignoring the players the more expensive option. The community is not the customer, okay? The balance sheet is. And the only time that Hoyo has the community agree is when both of them are looking at the same number. And that's why the F2P drama that's going on right now is kind of interesting, because for the first time in a long time, it's not just like a vibes complaint, but like the math actually just doesn't work anymore. 60 pulls a patch with a meta that demands multiple 5-star units to like execute well and properly. The dollar value of being F2P is dropping. And then when the math stops working, the wallets start to close. And then when the wallets close, well, that's when Hoyo starts to listen. But I'm not saying to not leave feedback or to, voice your opinions. That does matter. Getting your voice heard and out there, leaving feedback, doing the surveys, that does matter. But again, at the end of the day, money.
It's not going to be the change you want.
Now, this is not a video, right, where I'm going to be like, we need to revolt and stop spending money. In a perfect world, if we all wanted to change, every single one of us, myself included, stop paying money. But there's a whole casual side to Genshin that they don't get on Twitter, they don't get on Reddit, they don't watch YouTube videos.
And that's the silent majority. That's that one person, that one kid whose parents just want to shut up. Just go, hey, here you go. Have fun. Shut up. Mom, Can I get this character? Sure you can, sweetie. Here you go. That's where a lot of the majority of Genshin players are, all right? It is what it is. Genshin is a very simple game that even kids can easily get on and play and have fun with it. And if, especially now with the normalization of microtransactions, a lot of parents will probably just get them the character they want, maybe as a gift for getting a good grade or graduated something. I don't know. It's like, if it'll get you to be happy and just shut up, yeah, great, here you go. It is what it is. That's the biggest demographic Genshin has in terms of player base. And those guys aren't sitting here on Twitter or on YouTube seeing this stuff. They're just not. And the reality is, nor should they, because you should have a life. It's important. But the unfortunate reality is, if you happen to be someone that's aware and you recognize this, we have a decision to make. Gotta stay, dip out. For me personally, I just kind of dipped out. Yeah, I'm hoping for a skip button for Snezhnaya. I might want to experience Snezhnaya just for the finale, just for the ending, right? For the good old time's sake. But if they don't give me a skip button, there's a good chance I just won't. So yeah, until that happens, I'm just not gonna play the game. I don't want to support it. I want to. If I have free pulls, which I had, shouts out to my boy Happy. He was taking care of my account all this time. I'm just not gonna, I'm just not gonna do it, sadly.
We spend money and we don't know about it. Once they see that number drop a lot, that's when movement starts to go up. But yeah, that's my rant. That's my like deep dive into Genshin not listening. And I'm not trying to call out Hoyo. I think every company at the end of the day does that, especially in a capitalistic society.
If they can, they will. Like, just because Kuro isn't necessarily there doesn't mean they won't do it. You've seen what the fuck they did with the whole Echo reroll crap. That shit was the biggest piece of dog shit we've seen, because now they're starting to have a community of their own. Freaking NGE, we'll see how things go from there. Like, at the moment they can, they will.
I don't know. This is a new type of video. I want to hear your opinions, your thoughts. Let me know in the comments down below with the points that you agree with, what you disagree with. Be respectful to one another in the comments as well. Let me know if you like this type of video where I kind of take a topic or a question that I've been thinking about for a while and kind of deep dive into it. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I wish you best of luck on your pulls for Nicole and or Lowen. And I'll catch you guys at the next one.
All right, man. And unfortunately, history tends to repeat itself. That's why a lot of people and a lot of scientists like to look at the past to determine what's going to happen in the future. And sadly, it's just another case of that. We've seen what happened before. It's happening again. There's slight changes here and there due to regulations. I feel like that's a very good point he brought up over there. That makes certain changes occur, but they're reverting back to the same old predatory crap that they're very well known for. And that's sad to see. It really is sad to see. But once again, the silent majority doesn't necessarily care. And the players that are revolting are also bored of shit. They're very bored. They don't have anything else that is as good as Genshin Impact they can play in their mobile device. A lot of players in Genshin Impact, especially in the free-to-play department, you're broke. Like, you don't have a lot of money. I'm not trying to be insulting here. I'm broke too. It's just the reality of things. The reality is you don't have better things to do. So you want this so bad, but on the other side, you don't have anything else better to do. And it's sad. I feel for you. I really do. I knew players who only have access to Genshin Impact on mobile specifically. They can't play anything else. This is the best game they have access to. So you're trapped between a rock and a hard place. So like, okay, so I could quit, but I don't enjoy any other game, especially considering the limitations of the devices I have. Well, and here's the thing, whether you like it or not, a lot of the players you see are like this, because Genshin is very popular on mobile, not necessarily, I think on console too, especially PS4 for the people that still have a PS4. I think that was shut down maybe, I can't remember, but it's somewhat popular on console too, because a lot of kids, parents like to give them consoles because they don't have access to social media on console, but they can still play video games. Genshin is it's also free there, so like you can just get them the game for free there. So, okay, here you go, shut up. So yeah, it's very popular on console and mobile, especially, not so much so on PC, because, well, why would a PC gamer really care about Genshin when you can just play Wuthering Waves or something like that? PC gamers tend to be more avid gamers that will resonate with something more like Wuthering Waves, more so than Genshin Impact. Of course, depending on your machine. I'm not saying just because you have a PC means you can just play woo, right? There's still optimization issues like for laptops, etc. It's still a bit of a problem. But you can always use cloud gaming. I feel like that's the best approach. That's how I can play with my laptop before I got my computer. I use my laptop, and I couldn't play Wuthering Waves on my laptop, so I just use GeForce Now. I think it's called GeForce Now. It's a little bit of a tip for you if you want to play video. I think you can play Hoyo games as well. If your laptop still doesn't support it too well, you can play Hoyo games as well. I remember also SSR was a bit buggy My laptop kind of sucks, I feel like. And the GeForce Now like really helped me. Cloud gaming, whatever service you like. So yeah, it's sad, but here we are. I feel like it's a good reminder of how these companies work and how if they keep climbing up and the more successful they are, the more they're going to try a bunch of shit that you probably won't appreciate. And it's sad to see. That's why I said like for NTE, I don't want it to succeed too much. Like I love what they're doing. I want them to be popular. I want them to be a point of conversation for when people go about, especially the gacha formula, but we don't want them to succeed too much where they can become the very thing they set out to destroy. So yeah, well, they don't technically set out to destroy. They're just trying to outcompete and let's just say find something that they can take everything for themselves, basically. So yeah, here's a bit of a tangent there. I know I have a lot of, let's just say, knowledge of how Genshin Impact came up and some of the things happening over there. Like you can see that I was very passionate about it once. I would love to revive that passion, but sadly, very hard to do. So yeah, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Without someone subscribing too, I really appreciate it. Shit. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Came to the perfect timing, man. And yeah, peace in.